This training is done in 2 sections. The first section is classroom training. When you're faced with a decision, you got to do something. When a bad thing happens, you have to do something. The worst thing that you can do is do nothing. This training is set up to give you a set of tools that you can choose to use, and then gives you permission to use those in that setting if the bad thing happens and a shooter does come on your campus. Then Dan Wyrather comes on board and he gives the tools in the toolbox. He describes them and he has them listen and take notes.
When we talk about alerting, I want you to think about alerting people before the incident, during the incident, and after the incident. Okay?
Then we give one small simulation during the class where we disrupt the OODA loop with the tennis balls. When I say go, bad guys coming in, I'm ducking, you defend yourself. Go, go, go! Everybody down! Stop, 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 stand down, stand down. And we give people permission to either go through the live simulation or not. Everyone chose to go through the live simulation, and then we run them through the 4 scenarios.
I'm going to start out down there, where they're not going to, at the farthest one.
Okay.
I'm going to work my way back here.
Good.
Let's see if we can go and all fit in. Yeah, orient yourself.
We'll not be together.
Lockdown, intruder on campus. Lockdown, lockdown.
When we hear lockdown, 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 we are supposed to close the door and hide and wait for a bullet. That's what we've been trained to do for at least the last 30 years.
People get very nervous. They want the most cover they can find. They don't feel safe in the open areas there. Hey, get down, get down, get down, get down! Everybody down, everybody down!
The participants, even though that they knew other things that they could use to defend themselves, were forbidden to use it.
Huh?
It's done that way to give them an understanding, a feeling of what it's really like to be in a situation where you have no tools to use and no permission to use them. And it heightens the anxiety and it sets the stage.
Just sitting there and ducking and covering, that's what it's going to feel like. You know, only it's going to be worse because it's going to be for real. And I don't think that there's going to be anybody who would argue the fact that you would have a little bit better feeling knowing that whether that guy comes in now or whether he comes in 5 minutes, we're going to act as a group and we're going to do something to counter this guy. Either that or we're going to flee. We're going to not even be here when he comes in, right? And that's kind of the basis of the training, and the goal of the training is to really instill that feeling and that understanding that we got to do something. We got to do more than what we're currently doing.
The next simulation, you may use communication. You know where the bad guy is? This is an open line with your officer. You tell them, they got to communicate. He's on the north side. He's going towards the fire engine house. He's over by the tower. This is what he looks like. And you can evacuate. You may not counter. You may not barricade. You can evacuate. You can communicate. Thumbs up if you understand. Number 2 scenario, we gave them real intel. So they were able to use their walkies and they were able to tell us exactly where the bad guy was on campus.
Come on, over there. Come on.
This told us what his description was, where he was moving, and just general ideas like that. That empowered them a little bit more. They actually had good information about the bad guy and where he was. One of the best things I saw was these guys hightailing it out of room B when room A was occupied. Excellent job. You guys got out of there quickly. Good intel. I liked it. I heard where he was. I knew the bad guy was over there by the engines. I knew where he was heading. It was really good intel. Good stuff. Okay. Here's what you get to do now. You get to provide good intel. You get to evacuate. You get to counter only by using your tennis balls. Remember, noise, movement, distractions, throwing them. Try to hit him. You want to disrupt that OODA loop. You don't want to give him a chance to be able to orient and make the decision to shoot you. okay?
Like John said, we're only going to be countering with the tennis balls, but look around, see what there is, see what items are available to you, what you think you could pick up, what you think you could throw, what you think you could swing, what you think you could barricade a door with. Okay, just be aware of those things. Only throw the tennis balls, but be aware of those things that we find around us.
Lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. Shooter on campus. Olive Drive, fire training facility. Lockdown. Shooter on campus. Going in the room. That's where they are able to really do the best thing if they can, and that is get away from the danger. This is what we tell all of our kids to do. If there's a bad guy there, stay away from him. You go in the opposite direction of evil. What I found the most fascinating part about the training is once they were able to evacuate, how well they evacuated. It was really good.
Circle the building, circle the tower.
Also, the intel was just fantastic. These guys were communicating really well with those radios.
What do we think of that one? Yeah, much better. Feels adding these options that we have. It gives a sense of ability, right? Almost a sense of freedom to be able to know that we can react and we're not just stuck in this box that we've traditionally been in, right? Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys were great, Mr. Bailey. That was awesome.
When you guys are looking for a place to hide, okay, if that's your option, you always want to be aware of what your exit points are, okay? Because some of you, like in the engine house that hid under a spot, once I got to you, there's nowhere for you to go. It's either come out and fight or get shot. You want to look around at the different exit points, okay, to make sure that you have a way out or that you have a plan. Always be thinking of a plan. Always be thinking about what you're going to do next. Don't put yourself in a bad spot.
Next simulation, you may disrupt the OODA loop. You may give great intel. You may evacuate. You may barricade. You may do whatever it takes to save your life, to save the lives of those people in your classroom. Any questions? Masks on.
Lockdown, lockdown. Intruder by fire training facility bathrooms. Black hooded sweatshirt. Lockdown, lockdown.
Bathrooms, he's right here.
Lock that door.
Yeah, pull it back.
Oh, there he is, there he is, there he is!
Back away.
Back away!
Done. Got me.
All right, guys. Thoughts on the final scenario?
If I could say that
Sir.
we thought the tower was pretty safe because we had 2 locked doors, but as soon as he was able to get through that window, it was like we were sitting ducks.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a good point about physical security. We go into we make our emergency action plans and we have physical security measures and stuff like that at our schools. There comes a point where those can trap us. You know what I mean? So everything you put in place, you need to know how to get around. And once an incident occurs, that physical security is not as important as it once was. You know, now it's just a hindrance.
But the
A
great
lot of
thing
times.
about it, we had a second exit.
Yeah. Good.
In a real life situation, you have to use the tools that are at your disposal. You have to be able to do what you have to do in the moment. So an important part of the strategy is not just giving them the tools, but giving them permission to use those tools in the moment. And so that's why we do it that way.
Come on!
And by the last scenario, these guys were really well prepared and they took out the bad guy very quickly.